Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host Ahmed Nawaz with the latest roundup of sports today. Let's take a look at what we're discussing. First of all, Pakistan have had an absolute galore as far as their bowling is concerned. I'm going to switch to the batting, but then that's something that we would probably be dreading at the moment. But Pakistan bowled brilliantly. They got Australia out on 299 runs, but in fact when they came out to bat, it was a sorry story all over again, and they lost 7 wickets in quick fashion, and that collapse, as we all say, the cookie crumbling effect, that was put into motion as well. But so far, if we just talk about this bowling, we did say that yesterday, because a lot of play was lost due to rain, today play started half an hour earlier and Pakistan really had to make amends for it. And I did say if they get the first 2 sessions right, they're really going to ace it, and that's what they did. Amir Jamal taking up 6 wickets, and not just 6 wickets, but he is now amongst the record and history books as well. 18 wickets so far in this test series, the highest ever by a Pakistani in a test series in Australia. So we'll talk about that, his performance with the bat as well. Everything right now counts. So we'll analyze this performance in detail and discuss Pakistan's chances in the test match and also Amir Jamal. Time now to introduce our guests. First of all, in studios, we have been joined by a sports expert and a cricket analyst as well, Rizwan Haider. Assalamu alaikum. How are you, sir?
Assalamu alaikum, Ahmed. Thank you very much.
Great to have you on the show. Sports expert Mr. Ali Mehdi. Assalamu alaikum. How are you, sir?
Walaikum salam. I'm very well, thank you.
Well, great to have you, Ali, and it's been a while, so great to have you back as well.
Thank you so much.
Of course, before we continue the discussion, let's take a look at the highlights of day 3.
On day 3 at Stumps, Pakistan scored 68 runs for the loss of 7 wickets at Sydney Cricket Ground as they lead Australia by 82 runs. Mohammad Rizwan on 6 and Amir Jamal on 0 were unbeaten at the crease for Pakistan. For green shirts, Abdullah Shafiq, skipper Shan Masood, Sajid Khan and Agha Salman left the pavilion on duck in the second innings. Debutant Saim Ayub scored 33 and Babar Azam added 23 runs. Josh Hazlewood claimed 4 wickets for Australia. Earlier in the day, Australia resumed their first innings at 116 runs for the loss of 2 wickets with Marnus Labuschagne on 23 and Steve Smith on 6 at the crease. The host team got all out on 299 runs. For Australia, Marnus Labuschagne scored 60, Mitchell Marsh added 54, Steve Smith and Alex Carey made 38 runs each. Amir Jamal claimed 5 wickets all and Agha Salman took 2 wickets for green caps. More, Amir Jamal is the first bowler in the history of Pakistan Test cricket to took 18 wickets in 3 matches in a debut series against Australia. After the brilliant batting in the Sydney Test, Amir Jamal also showed aggressive bowling and limited the Kangaroos' first innings to 299 runs by taking 6 wickets. Jamal became the first Pakistani player to score more than 50 runs and took 6 wickets in an innings of a test match against Australia.
And there you have it, the highlights of day 3, courtesy of this report by Sabah. Now, Rizwan, how would you sum up day's 3 proceedings, and also the past 2 days have led to Pakistan? But you mentioned something very particular before the show started, that all of us, and I think we collectively say this, that we were not expecting these many positives from this young team.
Before the start of the series, the result was expected. Everyone knew it's going to be a whitewash until and unless there's a miracle happens.
Right.
But,
I've just been told we're going on a short break, but stay tuned, we'll be right back. And of course, discussing things in detail. Of course, leading up to day 3, there's been a lot of positives from the Pakistan side. Rizwan, you'd like to highlight those?
I was just saying we were not expecting so many positives from this side. We knew the result before the start of the series. Everyone predicted it's going to be 3-0. But end of the day, you start with Shan Masood, the captain. amazing captaincy. Of course, he didn't do really well with the bat. He did okay, but was not able to convert scores into, you know, big scores. Nobody got 100 for Pakistan, but Saim Ayub was a breath of fresh air, you know, against Brad Manul Haq. You know, dropping him was a big thing for me, because he's a very limited player, Brad Manul Haq. We're talking about Imam. But Saim Ayub, yes, a big positive. Rizwan, wicket-keeping wise, batting wise, a big positive. Similarly, in the bowling department, I think Mir Hamza is an exceptional find.
A domestic experience now, clearly.
It just shows what he brings to the table with 400 wickets, the sort of amount of experience he has in first-class cricket. He brings a lot. Similarly, Amir Jamal has been on the sidelines for the last couple of years. He played a T20 international. I think he played a couple, but wasn't really given a chance. But he's really come into with flying colours. He's proven himself. 18 wickets. You know, Wasim Akram, Waqar Yunus, they have not been able to do it. Shoaib Akhtar hasn't been able to do it. So for somebody who's considered a military medium bowler, but the aggression that he shows, and in the batting, he's, you know, on Australian wickets, you haven't got Babar performing, you haven't got Imam performing, you haven't got Saud Shakil performing, but if him getting a 80-odd run, very, very positive for Pakistan. Of course, we lacked a spinner. We knew beforehand. In the fast wickets, we didn't have enough fast bowlers. On the spinning wicket, we don't have enough spinners. But, you know, that's something to think about. You know, you can see that there are positives. The only disappointment for me was resting Shaheen Shah. Because if you are resting from a test match in Australia to prepare, or getting a rest for T20 internationals or PSL, then it's just not on. I mean, I'm very, very disappointed in that, even if it's the team decision or Shaheen's decision or whoever. But that's just criminal for me.
Well, I think that is something that needs an in-depth analysis, because my question would remain the same, that when's the next test match you're playing? So, you know, that amount of gap that we've got for almost 10 months is absolutely absurd. But Ali Mehdi, like Rizwan mentioned, it's been a positive series for this young side being led by Shan Masood. How would you analyze the performance of our team up till day 3 so far at the SCG?
Look, if you talk about the past 3 test matches, Ahmed, if you look, the first test match was a disaster. I mean, obviously we had moments, but I always knew that we were going to be crushed over there, because it is Optus Stadium and you saw the situation, hard bouncy wicket. But as the series has progressed, it's been a series of lost opportunities. Even at Melbourne, you know, we played extremely well. I thought we bowled exceptionally. If we had taken been a bit more smart and had taken our catches, it would have been a different story altogether. And possibly, I genuinely feel that Melbourne is, you know, is going to go down as one of those matches which we really should have won. We've seen it in the past. You know, it happened once again. But you know, if you talk about the SCG, I think we've been brilliant. Except, I mean, some players have been brilliant. I mean, Amir Jamal, I said it about 2 months ago that he has to play the series. He's going to be the fine first of the series, and that's exactly what's happened. The whole world has been talking about it. 18 wickets still now in the first innings. He single-handedly with Mir Hamza took Pakistan to above 300. Had we not gotten there, Australia would have, you know, steamrolled Pakistan by now. But he is the single reason why Pakistan is still in this test match. And look, you know, let's be honest, over here, lots of our players have not performed in this match. Abdullah Shafiq, we've spoken very highly of him, but he's had a very poor series. And because of him, we probably lost that second test match. He's not contributed anything with the bat. He's been very shoddy in the slips, and he's just had a very poor series. Other than that, other players who really not performing. We needed Hassan Ali to actually pick up, you know, get some wickets. But other than that, you can see that there are two types of players, some who have performed very well, some who have not performed well. Shan Masood, you know, Rizwan Bhai was mentioning to his captain very well, but he should have continued and with those big with the starts and make them into big scores. So overall, the fact that Pakistan is still in this match it speaks volumes for itself. We obviously could have been, you know, we could have actually had a better opportunity to win this match, but it's not over till it's done. I mean, the two players who've been best for Pakistan, Rizwan and Amir Jamal, are still there, and those are the two kind of counter punchers who can still have Pakistan in. As long as they can get Pakistan to at least 150, if possible, if at all, then Pakistan has a good chance.
Well, I understand that, you know, the positives are certainly there and we still have a chance, but the fact is that we just lost wickets where we were meant to probably keep them and move on to the next day, and that was absurd, losing 7 wickets in quick fashion. And although a lot of people would still be very happy that the fact Amir Jamal and Rizwan are still at the crease, and they're the pair who got Pakistan over the line from 4 wickets down, then 5 wickets down, all the way up to 300 plus runs in the first innings. But it doesn't happen every time, does it? Although I'm still hoping that this duo can put up about a 100-run partnership and we can all relax and enjoy the game, but it's going to be very difficult tomorrow. But Rizwan, since we're discussing so many things, how would you analyze the captaincy of Shan Masood so far? Looks like an individual suited for the role and probably is enjoying Test captaincy at the moment.
I think what we were lacking for the last couple of years when Babar was the captain, because Babar is a great player. He had a bad series this time, but let's not forget that he is an exceptionally talented batsman. The problem is that you cannot equate talent or the best batsman being the best captain. Captaincy is a very subtle art. It's more of a science and a combination of science and art. And Shan Masood has showed us that, the field placings that are required, planning, how to plan a batsman out, the sort of things we used to see Javed Miandar do, the sort of things we used to see Dhoni do. He's been doing that. In the very first Test match, you had a couple of dismissals where a short third man was deployed. So that was basically, it was not, it's not a regular normal fielding position for a Test match. But to have that on a medium pacer, and you got a couple of wickets on that. Similarly, I think the only flaw in his captaincy that I see is that he's been using the youngsters as first fieldsmen. Saim Ayub and Abdullah Shafiq in the first and second match, and then Saim Ayub here. But other than that, his planning has been exceptional. His field placings and his change of bowlers. He's been very limited. He hasn't had the best of fast bowlers. Shaheen has been struggling. Naseem Shah wasn't available. He hasn't got a quality spinner. But even with those limited resources, he's been able to, Pakistan got a first innings lead in the third Test match. So if you see how the first Test match went, the second and the third, Pakistan has been constantly improving in the field. So that's a really, really positive thing for me.
And Ali Mehdi, it's always important because he's on the back of some runs as well in this series. So he's leading that chart. He's been unlucky on most of the occasions not to convert it into big scores. And then again, the captaincy, he's talking to Babar, he's talking to other players. So definitely an individual who is enjoying the role at the moment. And also, I think off the field, if you look at the way he's handling the media, talking about his players as well.
A lot of maturity has been shown by Shan Masood. They said that, I was reading an article and it said that the accidental mistake, which was not supposed to happen, I think it's been a breath of fresh air. I mean, the way, look, whenever Pakistan actually tours Australia or England for that matter, you could say that the team management and then also the captain is always, under the cosh over. They're always under pressure. But the way his calming influence has made a big difference. And these then Pakistan team and some of the players have really, you could say that enjoyed his sort of captaincy. The best thing about it is that, like Rizwan Bhai was saying, that the field placing. I mean, just today I was seeing at short cover the way they got Steve Smith out.
Yeah, that was absurd. Having almost a slip cordon in the covers now. Yeah. So there was 3 fielders there.
Exactly. And so, he knows he's actually figuring it out. It looks like he's actually observing, the bowlers, though his changing of the bowlers have been very good. The way he gives confidence, instills confidence to, I mean, other than the slip fielding, I think has been absolutely perfect. But the thing over here is that, you can see that he's always thinking, he has his thinking cap on, he's consulting all his players too, he's talking to the team director, Mohammad Hafiz too. So overall, it's been fabulous from his end too. And the most important thing is that you could see that he's the sort of captain who's there to stay. He's going to be there for a long period of time. I just feel that he's been a touch unlucky, especially with his batting too, because he's been phenomenal when he gets those starts. But the problem, he hasn't converted those big starts too. So whilst I think this is his first assignment as captaincy, I think he's done very well considering that you're going to the hardest place in the world, and that is Australia. So a place where Pakistan have not won a Test series for almost 30 years.
Ali Mehdi, we can take an indicator as well. I think Australia have found it a bit tough than what they would have expected, because if you look at their batters as well, it's not like a huge score from an individual batter, what we're used to seeing from Australia against Pakistan. So they have definitely found a competitive side which they probably were not expecting.
Look, with Pakistan, it's a case of lost opportunities. You go back in the second Test match, I mean, I cannot forget, the Abdullah Shafiq drop. Had he been taken that, we could have probably won that second Test match too. Even in this Test match, our fielding has been very shoddy. I mean, you talk about Saim Ayub. Yes, he's a new, he's playing his debut match, but you have to take these chances. You have to to take those chances, especially not the hard chances, the chances which are coming on slip too. So overall, I think his captaincy is good. It's just our fielding which is letting us down. And because our big players are not performing, we talk about Babar, but let's talk about South Shakil. South Shakil, who was our best find, we were talking about it in the summer, how he was brilliant against Sri Lanka. He's had a horrible tour. I mean, he's done absolutely nothing in this series too. And we needed him to actually perform and at least get a couple of 50s. But today was the opportunity.
Well, Mehdi, that this might become an argument where then South Shakil might be suited for certain conditions and might not be suited.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but
that's something that Pakistan would have to now come up with. A strategy that similarly India had been adopting. They had Murli Vijay open whenever they were playing in Indian or sort of Indian conditions, and whenever they were travelling elsewhere, they had Dhawan and Rohit Sharma opening the test series.
But let's be honest, he's like a horses for courses player. I mean, he was phenomenal in Sri Lanka too, but he's had no chance against the Australia bowlers, the very, very accurate Cummins, Hazelwood and Stark too. But, the thing is, like, we have to look at the positives too. Yes, whether we get whitewashed or not, at least in this series we've shown a fight over here. We've had a good captain who's led well, and it will always be remembered as a series of lost opportunities.
Well, another argument that we can definitely approach from here onwards as well, Rizwan, is that we need to have set criteria. We discussed this yesterday as well, once again courtesy to the team of Sports Extra and the research that they're bringing us, that in the last year alone, Pakistan leads various test sides in handing out the most debuts for test cricket, about 16. And 5 of them are individuals who have only played 1 test match. So 2 things simultaneously here. 1, the criteria of making a person play test cricket on the back of a number of first-class games, maybe, something that teams have done around the world. And number 2, then whoever you get into the test side needs to be given a consistent run. You just can't rate a guy on the basis of 7 or 10 test matches. I don't think that's fair.
I think the first criteria needs to be for batsmen. For fast bowlers, I think there can be an exception where somebody is extremely talented, he swings the ball a lot. But for batsmen, you need to have a couple of thousand runs in test match cricket. You need to have 2 good seasons at least, where you're averaging 45, 50 plus. Because whatever you're averaging first class cricket, most of the time you're going to be about 5 to 10 points below that in test match cricket because of the intensive competition. Similarly, I agree, Pakistan is just not playing enough, paying enough attention to test match cricket. I mean, just dropping Shaheen for, making him prepared for PSL just shows your attitude. For a cricketer, any cricketer in the world at the moment, for the last 20 years, the most important test series would be, playing in Australia, SCG, MCG, WACA, Gabba, Perth, Adelaide Oval, Brisbane. There's nothing more important. India, you've seen India do that over the last 2 series that India played. They've done that, and the reason that for their success has been their batting, because even in this match, Pakistan with limited resources. If you compare, Hazelwood, Stark, and Cummins with Mir Hamza, Amir Jamal, and Hassan Ali. There's a big difference between, talent, between quality. Australia's heads and shoulders above Pakistan. These and the spinner, Sajid Khan versus Nathan Lyon.
Yeah, there's no comparison.
But Pakistan got a first innings lead. So because our bowlers bowled well, with their limited resources, the captain did really well, but it was the batting that let us down. You have a 10-run lead, which just, if Australia is batting in the 4th inning, 220.
And if I'm not wrong, that's always been the case with Pakistan.
That's always been the case. I was not expecting, this sort of a performance from the bowlers, not from Amir Jamal, not from Mir Hamza. Hassan Ali should have been the senior bowler, taken it by the scruff of the neck, but he was just bowling line and length. Similarly, Sajid Khan is there for because lack of a better opportunity. There's no other option. For lack of a better option, he's there.
But I was just going, because I just want to add to your argument, because what you mentioned is particular, and you've always on the show stressed the fact that you need people with a bunch of first-class experience and runs and averages in Test cricket particularly. I was just going through the top 3 run scorers of Ranji Trophy for the previous season. And all 3 of them had, one of them had played 9 games, 2 of them had played 10 games. And their averages were phenomenal in one season. 78, about 60 plus, 89 something. So all averages were above 65 for these 3 players who had played 1 season of Ranji Trophy and a minimum of 9 games.
And none of them got selected.
No, not at all.
Because you need a couple of years.
Yes.
If you look at Pujara, if you look at Rohit Sharma, They've always been similarly English.
I mean, the top 10 are not in the Indian side right
exactly,
now. Top 10 are not
because the others are not playing Ranji Trophy most of the time. They're playing 3 or 4 games because of international commitments. But you know, talent shines through. Saud Shakil, he came from first class cricket. Did he not? Salman Ali Agha has been exceptional. He's very underrated, but he's averaging about 40 plus. He's got regular 50s, he's got 100, he's got wickets at important times. Similarly, Amir Jamal, I mean, 400 wickets. Shaheen, Hassan Ali and Naseem Shah together combined do not have 400 first class wickets, if you ask me, and Haris Rauf,
yes,
for that matter. So just him, the experience that he showed, he was in the second test match, he improved in the third test match.
Disciplined bowling.
And very disciplined bowling. Similarly, if you look at Amir Jamal, he was giving runs at about 6 and over in the first test match, getting wickets, but very, very expensive. But suddenly he's learned how to bowl on Australian wickets because he had no experience before that in Australia. So, and that's the reason for me, the disappointment of Shaheen Afridi skipping this test match instead of Hassan Ali is, it's just criminal for me.
You buy the argument where some people are saying because he's the skipper in that 5-match T20 series.
Not at all. Not at all. For bilateral series in T20s and one internationals, you've seen India deploying Hardik Pandya as captain, dropping Rohit Sharma. So he can get experience later on. I mean, not at the expense of a series in Australia. That's just not on.
Absolutely. And like I said, the next test match you play is 10 months away. So, you know, I'm even gutted for Saim Ayub. I think the guy just had 2 innings and now he's got to wait 10 more months. And in the middle of this, if he screws up in any of the limited overs game, you know, white ball format, T20 or one days, they're immediately going to drop him from the team, regardless of his performance in the test side.
And for Pindi, you're going to get Brad Manuel Hug back.
Well,
I love the name you've given it.
Well, it's all about terminologies, isn't it? But Ali Mehdi, we should talk about this. I think we have stressed upon the criteria of getting guys. I mean, the saddest day for me was not having Kamran Ghulam debut for Test cricket when he scored 1,200 runs in a Quaid-e-Azam Trophy season. But that's not the first time we've done this.
Yeah, I actually always think that it's merit which comes first, and Kamran Ghulam is one example. I mean, I remember that season a couple of years ago when he scored 1,200 runs and he didn't even get an opportunity to play a test match. So that's very disappointing. But look, I have to say, at least we have to take some positive in the form of Amir Jamal, who, you know, we've been talking about for so long right now. And at least, you know, at last we have one player who's actually taking the series by the scruff of the neck and has been absolutely brilliant and giving it to the Aussies too, you know, showing that firepower, workman, horse-like, and, you know, he's just, you know, giving it his all. So I think he's been absolutely brilliant. But then at the same time, we have to see other players. You know, the thing also, one important thing I actually want to stress is the number of test matches we have. In this cycle, we only have 14 test matches too, which means about 7 per year for each World Test Championships year. I mean, in the cycle, in total of 14. So if you have only 14 test matches too, it's also going to be very difficult. The next one you mentioned in 10 months' time is against Bangladesh too. So, you know, it's very difficult to assess. And now that, you know, I know we've been talking about the Shaheen Shah, you know, controversy.
Well, Ali Mehdi, if I just might add to your argument, if you allow me, you know,
Please.
Kashif Majid yesterday mentioned a very particular point. He said in the world, you know, even before there was a concept of having, you know, a cricket board or something, Australia and England were still playing Test cricket, and they developed this rivalry through the Ashes. He said, I still don't understand when India is playing Australia in Test cricket, that's also a rivalry. New Zealand plays them, that's also a rivalry. So teams are focused on Test cricket. Why can't we just come up with a bilateral Test series with one particular country and then, you know, give it importance for a yearly feature? I mean, we can have a Border Gavaskar trophy, we can have a Kadir Beno trophy, everything can happen, but not consistently, because what you mentioned, if I look at the FTPs of Pakistan from the year 2023 all the way up till 2027, handful of test games, if I'm not wrong.
Handful, and just 14 test matches per cycle. That means 7 per year. I mean, I'm sorry, 7 isn't enough. And, you know, even the commentators in the series have said that, you know what, test cricket is dying. You see what's happened. I'm sure on Sports Extra, you must have discussed the South African debacle, what they've done for New Zealand too. I think it's an absolute joke. And because of these sort of folly decisions, they're killing the game. And that's exactly what's happening. Then you have Shaheen Shah Afridi over. So, you know, we are not doing ourselves justice. Us cricket boards and us fans who absolutely absolutely love cricket, test cricket, and love this format and love the drive and the skill and the sort of, you know, competitive nature of it, you know, are being driven to the ground because, you know, players aren't taking it seriously, the boards aren't taking it seriously, especially ICC isn't taking it seriously because they're more money driven, looking towards a shorter format like T20 and franchises, so league franchises. So it's because of that you know, really this test cricket is suffering. And most importantly, you will see that if this continues to happen, the big three are going to continue to make the World Test Championship finals, and you could say the other
at least
team
they prioritize test cricket. I'll just give them that credit.
Yeah. They do. Look, you talk about India, England, Australia getting 19 test matches and above for each cycle. It shows how much they care for the game, the longer format of the game, and how much we do. The South Africa 13, us 14, Bangladesh also 12. I mean, New Zealand also about 14 too. So it just shows that we really don't care as much as the big three do.
Absolutely.
May I?
Rizwan, you'd like to add to that?
You know, for the last 2 years, there's been a debate of big three. I've always conceded that yes, there are big three, and the reason for that is test match cricket. They're the only ones who are taking test match seriously. Indian board makes sure that IPL is in place, but their players do not go out and play every second any other league. Similarly, Australians are very, very clear. Test cricket is your priority, and then, you know, your players can appear in 2 leagues or some, not more than that. IPL is a given for every team except Pakistan, but there are others, just one other league probably. Similarly, Australia, similarly England, you know, they're very, very clear on their home ground. They make sure they have 5, 6, 7 test matches at home every year. It used to be 5 at most, and Ashes used to be 6, but now they've got 7. And the only other team which is taking test cricket seriously is New Zealand. But due to limited resources, due to limited population, they're there or thereabouts. We have to accept that right now Pakistan is a mediocre second grade team, not better than number 4 or 5 in any format. You name a format and Pakistan is at number 4 or 5. We are contenders for semi-finalists and not more than that. And it's always going to remain the same if you prioritize, you know, Bangladesh League and Multan League and Lahore League and Karachi League and Dera Ghazi Khan League, because Kashmir League, you know, that's just, this just shows your seriousness towards cricket. And I'm sorry, but you know, we have to accept that yes, they are the big three, and we are nowhere in contention.
Absolutely.
And I don't see that in the near future as well.
And like I said, the fact is that at least they are prioritizing test cricket. Even to the fact that some of the bowlers or players that we have rated as T20 caliber players, including Hardik Pandya or Jasprit Bumrah, both have a number of above 30 first-class games before they came onto the international circuit. And Bumrah is still leading the pace attack along with Mohammad Siraj in the Test series in South Africa. So, you know, that tells us priorities. But now we come to a particular case of Amir Jamal, Rizwan. Now, he's being termed as the all-rounder across formats, and certainly people are in awe of him as well. And this is a gentleman who has clearly put in the hard work. He has really put in the grind from his story and, you know, from his journey throughout the levels of cricket, even to an extent of moving to Australia, driving a cab in Islamabad. Everything has been there. But right now, I probably see him as the most focused cricketer in this format particularly. And he clearly, I think, him and Rizwan showed our batters the way to play in Australia as well.
I personally think Amir Jamal is not a test player. But the sort of resilience that he showed, the temperament, the fight, the aggression, that just makes him stand out. I mean, if you look at it, he's sort of an Azhar Mahmood Abdul Razak player. He's not a Wasim Akram type of player. He's not a Saeed Anwar type of a player. But he's the sort of bits and pieces cricketer. But he, you know, he does the things perfectly well. And that's what you want in the long run. If somebody goes on his first tour to Australia and gets an 80-odd run for an all-rounder who bats at number 7 or 8, that's an amazing thing. That's like Wasim Akram did, got 100 at Adelaide, I believe, in the 1988 Test match. So that just shows that you want to be there. You want to achieve something. You know, he's not taken. There's no self-pity in him. He can say he's driven a cab. He's gone through the hard work. But that also shows that the talent shines in the long run. The talent shines, and he's a proof. Now he's the sort of player, for me, when I saw him in the T20 and I saw him bowl the last overs, I thought he was a perfect fit for T20 cricket. But due to the reasons that you have your favorites in and you don't want to give somebody a chance. No, I'm being serious here. He was not given a proper chance. He bowled, I think he bowled the last over on his debut or on his debut test match. How do you do that? You don't do that to somebody you want to groom. You do that to somebody you want to kick out on the very first opportunity that, you know, first match and give him the last.
Maybe they were trying to do that. Maybe they were trying to do that and it folded the other way.
And suddenly the series to Australia comes and everybody is, you know, going left, right and center that I want to avoid it at any cost. And you've got Amir Jamal showing his skill. Similarly, Amir Hamza's case is you know, you've got him to play 2 test matches in Australia and in Rawalpindi and Sharjah. And suddenly, you know, he's proven that, you know, he's more accurate, he's better quality than Shaheen Afridi if given a proper test match run. And I hope he thrives and he goes on to play 3-4 years of test match cricket.
Absolutely. I think that's all of us actually, you know, want that, because like I said, that a consistent run needs to be given. And, you know, in between that conversation, I just heard that Mr. Shirazi has been hit wicket. So there was something going on in the MCR as well. But Ali Mehdi, Amir Jamal's journey to success, and you know what we saw there as well alongside Mohammad Rizwan, that partnership. I completely agree with Rizwan. He's resilient. There is a hunger to achieve something, to be there, and I think that ability to analyze the situation, play according to the situation, you know, is something brilliant. Even his bowling on day 3, I saw a lot of variations as well. So he was understanding, the pace was consistent, the line was consistent. He was adapting to the situation, something that we have clearly missed in all-rounders we have tried to create in the form of only Fahim Ashraf probably.
Look, you know, the most important thing is Ahmed and Rizwan Bhai, we have to take care of him right now. We have to take care of him, we have to give him confidence, and because you know, he is a rough diamond right now, and he's obviously, you know, performed exceptionally well in this series too. And the reason is he's been there and thereabouts for a while now too, but shown his true character and spirit in this series, because if you look at him, he's been laser focused in this series. You know, he's given it to the Australians with the ball and with the bat, whether it was in the Perth test match, whether in this test match, when we were gone and out at 227 for 9, the way he guided Mir Hamza and told Mir Hamza that, you know what, you know, we've got to get as many runs as possible. Give me the strike. That shows he's a thinking cricketer. He's a mature cricketer. He's got a great head on his shoulders too. So that's why I think that, you know, he is a huge find for Pakistan. And the fact of the matter is that we're looking at this test match too. You know, if you're looking at this current situation, you know, at least look, whilst everybody thinks all is lost, I still think we've got the 2 best players right now who still at the wicket, Mohammad Rizwan and Amir Jamal, the 2 players who performed exceptionally well in the first innings too, and who got the highest scores too. So if these are the 2 players, you know, knowing the situation, you know, they can change they change the complexion of the match, and I actually feel these 2 can. But it's just about, you know, being focused over there, reading the ball well, and not throwing your wicket away. Because if we look in this test match, especially in this last session we had today on the 3rd day, you know, it was just a madness. It was just 1 or 2 hours, 1 hour of madness that we've lost our whole, you know, we could have won this historic test match, and we've lost, you know, the ascendancy we had in this test match. So whilst, you know, it's looking really difficult, as long as these 2 are there, as long as they give it their all and get a partnership going, you know, all is still, you know, there's a lot left in this test match.
Ali Mehdi, I want to congratulate you on your bravado. Well done, buddy.
Proactive thinking. He's also, I think he still believes in the cause, and that cause is obviously
Test cricket. You know, we have
Test cricket. But clearly, I think one thing, gentlemen, that we can agree upon, and Rizwan, because you have been observing these guys very keenly, is the body language after the 2nd test match, during the 2nd test match and after that, has clearly changed. Now this bunch of, you know, the squad over here, these bunch of Pakistani test players are enjoying every moment of this series so far.
And what do? You know, the best way to attack is counter-attack. The best place to play cricket is enjoy. If you have, you know, it's a lost cause. You already knew what was going to happen, but the way you've lost is amazing. You've improved every time you've gone on to play. Of course, you had a collapse in the 3rd test match. You had a collapse in the 2nd test match, but that was a given. But at least you fought in the 2nd test match. You fought bravely in the 1st innings. You bowled them out very bravely. You made sure the runs were difficult to come for the Australians, because the only time Australia attacked was in the very 1st test match, where they went after the bowlers and the run rate went up to 5.5, and the bowlers did not know what to do. But this time, for the second test match and third test match, the run rate never went beyond 3.5. Actually, Pakistan scored at a quicker rate in the first innings, in the third test, than Australia. And I was not in my wildest dreams could imagine that Pakistan would be scoring at a better run rate, thanks to Brad Manuel Hack. But it's a very positive sign.
But there's another element to it, Rizwan, that then you have to analyze the situation. Rizwan can play like that, I understand. Amir Jamal can do that. There are certain guys who are suited for that role. But if Saim Ayub can do that, Shan can do that. But if the likes of Saud Shakil and Babar Azam try to be one of those individuals who accelerates madly, I will call it, then that's not going to happen. But had they occupied the crease well, then the likes of Salman Ali Agha, Rizwan and of course Shan Masood and everybody else would have had a better chance.
That's the thing about Test cricket. You get 11 players, 6 batsmen, 5 or 6 batsmen, and everyone has to play his role. Everybody is different. You can't, everybody can't be Shahid Afridi, everybody can't be Mudassar Nazar. One person has to stay, the other one has to rotate the strike. Sometimes both aggressive batsmen are there. But, Babar has to know his role. He behaves like a one-day batsman in T20, like a test batsman in one-day international cricket, and suddenly when test cricket comes, he starts, playing one-day cricket. That's not his role. His role is to be there for the team, stay there, and everybody around him will score the runs.
Consume as much as he can.
Exactly. He has the staying power. He can, he can bat for 200 runs. He can bat 400 balls. Shan Masood hasn't shown that yet. Saud Shakil can do that as well. We saw that in Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka is a very difficult place to play most of the time. So they're not doing the roles. I mean, I can understand Babar is not happy that his the captaincy has been taken from him. But I think it was a very, very positive thing from Pakistan to take the captaincy, because he's just not molded for captaincy material. He may become the best batsman in the world. And for me, I always quote Sachin Tendulkar as an example. India could have had him as captain for 130-40 test matches, because when he came into test match, when he became the captain, he had played 40-45 games. So had he stayed there for the next 15 years, India's cricket would have been screwed, but Sachin would have had 20,000 runs. So, that's not, it's not an individual sport, it's a team effort, and everybody has to play the role. Babar has to be there for the team. In T20s at 3 or 4, wherever required. He can't be insisting that I want to bat every time as an opener. Similarly, in one-day international, wherever the team requires him to bat, that's what good people do. That's what great batsmen do.
Ali Mehdi, we can take a leaf out of this Australian playing 11 as well. Khwaja consumes majority of the deliveries while Warner is going after the runs. Similarly, they've got another pair at 3 and 4 where Labuschagne is consuming most of the deliveries and Smith is going after the runs. And then, of course, with Mitchell Marsh, and then they changed their strategy to a bit as well.
Yeah, that's why I think, they're the real role models for this series, and especially in Australian conditions. They are the World Test Championship holders right now. But the thing is right now that in this Test match, in terms of batting, the Australians haven't done much. They were scoring at such a slow run rate, and that's actually put Pakistan back in the game too. The way Labuschagne and also Smith were going, they were going absolutely nowhere. They were batting like tortoise. So the thing is that with Pakistan, as they've done everything well, but the problem is their batting, their shot selection has been so poor. And while Nathan Lyon is a champion, these weren't unplayable conditions. They could have really sought out that 2-hour period, that difficult period too. It was just really bad shot selection, and it shows that Pakistan's vulnerability not only against pace but against spin too, which is a serious worry if you want to do well in this World Test Championship cycle.
And if you can't play well against spin, if you can't bat well against fast bowling, then what do you want to do?
Franchise cricket, probably focus on the 4 overs at hand, or the good 30 runs that you can get. But finally, gentlemen, before we close up on time, I must ask you about Pat Cummins. Rizwan, he has been a tremendous, not just a skipper, but as a player, the grit, the determination across all formats. And Australia has once again shown us that you can never exclude them from the equation, be it T20, be it one day, or be it Test cricket. That strive or that hunger to be the top is certainly still there.
Australia has always had batting captains. He was the first one appointed as a fast bowling all-rounder who can captain the team, and it was a surprise for everyone. Nobody was expecting him. If you go to the past, Alan Border, Steve Waugh, Taylor, Ponting, everyone, Michael Clarke,
Steve Smith,
but Steve Smith as well. But so nobody was expecting that, and he has been exceptional. As a leader, as a bowler, I mean, he's not the sort of a bowler who says, I'm the captain, I'm going to go first, I'm going to take the new ball. He's always coming in at first change. this is what leaders do. He knows what his best role is, and he knows what Mitchell Stark's and Hazelwood's roles are. So he's never been, similarly, I mean, you know, the 200 where, who got in Australian World Cup game, where he batted Maxwell got a double 100, he batted for about 10,
the way he batted in that match.
It was amazing. It was a, not even a test match sort of an inning, but in a World Cup final or a semi-final, whatever, I don't remember the game. It was exceptional. Nobody expected, you know, for him to bat like that and give support to Maxwell. He did. He knew as a leader that people are maybe, you know, if they lose the game, people are going to come after him and say, you know, you should have batted positively or aggressively, but he didn't. Exceptional leader. I think the best captain Australia has had in a long, long time.
Well, Ali Mehdi, you certainly have followed the history of the Roos as well, but the fact is that, as Rizwan mentioned, that he, you know, his name would clearly be amongst the greatest captains for Cricket Australia.
I think he's been the best captain they've had in a while. After Sandpapergate scandal, you know, they've had so many problems, you know, of the past few years, especially with captaincy. But since they've actually, and with also with the coaching with Justin Langer also, but ever since he's come into the fray, they've done extremely well. I mean, let's not forget they won a they won a T20 World Cup.
All major trophies.
All major trophies. Yes, under Aaron Finch. But other than that, a World Cup win. Also, they won the World Test Championship. Now they're eyeing the Champions Trophy, which will be held in Pakistan. So overall, he's been best, and the most important thing is he trusts his players, and there's a huge camaraderie and brotherly sort of love between all the players.
Absolutely. Well, Ali Mehdi and Rizwan Azhar, thank you very much for joining us, gentlemen. That, of course, wraps up Sports Extra. From me and the entire team, it's goodbye for now.